Once upon a time, there was a little girl who always wore a red cape. Her mother had lovingly sewed it for her, and everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh.
One fine day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother told her to take a picnic basket full of bread, fruit, and sweets to her sick grandmother. To get to grandmother's house, Little Red Riding Hood had to cross a thick forest, so her mother warned her not to get distracted or talk to strangers along the way. Little Red Riding Hood took the basket and set out for grandmother's house. The way there was beautiful, and the forest animals accompanied her on her walk. At the entrance to the forest, Little Red Riding Hood found herself face to face with the wolf. He asked her where she was going, and she replied, "I'm going to grandmother's house to take her this basket of food." The wolf, who was very scary, knew a shortcut to grandmother's house. He nicely said goodbye to Little Red Riding Hood and began running so as to arrive before her. Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood got distracted picking beautiful flowers so that she could bring a bouquet to her grandmother. The wolf arrived rather quickly to grandmother's house, knocked on the door, and, speaking sweetly, pretended to be Little Red Riding Hood. The old woman, thinking it was her granddaughter, let him in.
Ha 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 ha.
The mean wolf entered the house and gobbled the grandmother up in one bite. He put on her nightgown, got into bed, and waited for Little Red Riding Hood. Meanwhile, a hunter who was passing by saw the wolf enter the house, and because he didn't trust him, decided to wait hidden in a nearby thicket. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived to Grandmother's house and knocked on the door, the wolf imitated the grandmother's voice and said, "Come in, little girl." Little Red Riding Hood went inside and, coming nearer to the bed, saw that something had changed. "Grandmother, my, what big eyes you have," she said. "All the more to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, my, what big ears you have," she continued. "All the more to hear you with, my dear," responded the wolf. "Grandmother, my, what big teeth you have," she said, to which the wolf bellowed ferociously, "All the more to eat you with." And he ate Little Red Riding Hood just like the grandmother, in one big bite. The worried hunter moved closer to the door and looked through the lock. He saw the wolf asleep in the grandmother's bed after a huge lunch. Seeing this, the hunter ran into the house, and while the wolf slept, he opened his big mouth to rescue Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. To teach the wolf a lesson, the hunter, Little Red Riding Hood, and the grandmother gathered a lot of heavy rocks to put into his tummy between snores. When the wolf woke up, he was quite thirsty and went to drink in a nearby river. His belly weighed so much that, when he tried to bend down to drink, he fell into the river. Since he didn't know how to swim, the current took the wolf far, far away, And to celebrate that he'd no longer bother anyone, Little Red Riding Hood suggested having a big picnic to celebrate. And that's how Little Red Riding Hood learned to listen to her mother's advice and not talk to strangers.
Ah.